Welcome to the Get Offset podcast. My name is Andrew.
And my name is Emily, and we are coming at you from the smoke-filled, hot as hell Pacific Northwest.
It was really fun, like as a kid, like watching movies about climate disaster. It's like, oh yeah, that looks like the visual effects are insane, and like now, just like I'm just on the other side of the camera because the camera's my phone, and it's kind of depressing.
No, yeah. And we were just coincidentally drinking, like I made this cold brew overnight. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a protein cold brew that I bought from the store.
Yeah, and we just sit down and we're coincidentally drinking them both out of mason jars.
Yep, my mason jar is quite large. I think this is a liter.
This is just a 16 ouncer.
This says it's 3.5 cups, but it's the size that's double. Actually, I don't know. I just assumed it was a liter. It looks like eyeballing it that it could be. Who knows? I don't.
I thought those were usually done in ounces, but I don't know.
I've lost track of metric and imperial, and at a certain point I stare at it and say, yeah, that should wake me up.
I got these for meal prep. I've done like prepped burrito bowls in these, and you fit everything except for the lettuce in them. But I was supposed to fit the lettuce in them too. And so I did like rice, chicken, like toppings, cheese. And I'm like, ain't no lettuce fitting in these. That rhymed.
Sure. Fair enough. I've also been doing food prep lately.
Yeah, I don't really enjoy the food prep. I'd rather just like have one pot, one skillet, wonder kind of meals.
Right.
Yeah. Not my... Because I'd rather not spend like 2 hours even on a Sunday prepping a bunch of stuff. But like I get the appeal.
Yeah, I mean, so I've been trying to, eat quote unquote clean, whatever that means.
Well, it's been working.
It has been working.
Yeah.
But like if I don't bring lunch to work, that means I end up eating it like the cafeteria or whatever, which means like burger and fries.
Yeah.
And that's not nearly as good as like if I brought in what I've been bringing in. So I got quinoa salad from Costco because it was on sale last weekend.
Oh.
It's like $8 for like a big old quinoa salad with like a lot of tomato and cucumber. And it was actually really good.
Yeah.
And then I've just been bringing a bag of sous vide chicken because I've started turning into that guy.
Yeah.
Chicken breast, protein. Yeah.
All right. Good for you, dude.
Yeah. So it's paying off. I just weighed in yesterday at the first time at under 200 pounds. And like, I don't have an exact period of time, but it's been a year and a half, maybe 2 years since the last time I weighed that low.
Well, congratulations.
So, yeah.
Hard work paying off. I know you've been waking up early and going to the gym and stuff, too.
About 6 o'clock-ish every morning.
It's a lot of work.
Which makes Saturdays my sleep-in days. So I'm still waking up.
Yeah. Well, it's not it's, thank you for waking up. I appreciate it. I slept in a little bit today as well. My knee is starting to heal. I think I'm going to start doing some shadow boxing next week. Nothing hard, not actually hitting the bag. I tore my meniscus cartilage and meniscal cartilage in my knee. So that was about 6 weeks ago. So I think I'm going to do some slow shadow boxing next week. Maybe a little four rounders, just to see how that goes. And
gotta scare the ghost away somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Yeah, and so maybe just no weights at first. I have some little 2-pounder weights that I can shadow box with maybe the next week, and then
just to simulate like that 5th round. Arms are heavy.
Mom spaghetti. Is that what you're going for?
No, it wasn't, but that works too.
Okay. All right. Just kind of building up, because that's, boxing is my workout of choice. It's basically, high intensity interval training, because you're on for 3 minutes, you take a break for 1. So if you really go heavy at it, because they do have that those interval training classes that you can take on the apps that I use.
Well,
So
I
yeah.
yeah, I just kind of assumed boxing was hit training.
Aha! Well, that's what they always joke that it's the original hit workouts. They always do joke that. So, and they mean it in both. It's a pun, but it's also true. And it's always fun when that works out that way. So
Yep.
it's cool. I've not gotten back to my normal gym. Honestly, I'm not sure I will. It's just so convenient to have it in my garage,
Yep.
and it's nice to be able to, especially the ab stuff. I do the ab stuff more at home than I ever did at my actual gym, just because I can adjust it my own way. And yeah, so that's cool. That's cool. So what's new with you, dude? Any new fun things other than the hitting that goal?
Um, Not honestly, no. I worked part of the weekend last weekend for my day job, and so I had like a 1 day weekend and kind of just have blown through the rest of this week. So now I'm waking up on my actual weekend for the first time like in 2 weeks and
Mm-hmm.
kind of catching it. But hitting that was a huge deal. I do want to clarify it wasn't a goal. I actually, I don't know,
Oh, that wasn't the goal, but it was
like it's nice. I don't have any
maybe not a
specific
goal, but like what's the word?
milestone.
You got it.
It is an indicative milestone that the work that I'm putting in is doing good things.
Yeah.
I don't have like a particular target weight that I'm trying to get to or anything. I'm just motivated to get healthy. Part of that's going to naturally involve just getting some weight off of my joints because my knees feel old.
Yeah. Yeah. Knee pain is no joke. The only thing worse than knee pain is hip pain.
Mm.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
then
Well,
you just go to hip training for that. Okay, it was a really bad pun.
hip training. Hip training.
Well, as opposed to hit training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it like really wasn't good. No, so outside of that, no, I've got a couple of other. What? Why do I want to say eggs in a basket? I've got a couple of other eggs in a different basket. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've got other things cooking. There's other random, arbitrary food items that are cooking. So possibly a giveaway with Fox Cairo coming up soon. I'm kind of working out something with another platform to partner with on that. So yeah, but it's not final till it's final. So I'll talk about that closer when we got it. But I'm definitely in an in between launches phase right now.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
What's new with you?
Well, I'm just staying positive, testing negative. Uh, I
Yep.
think last time we talked, I had talked about my COVID test. I tested negative. So, testing negative, but I finally got this in.
Heck
It's
yeah.
my Paranormal Series Cabranita baritone.
Oh, it looks so sick.
Yeah, it is. Though I didn't notice until after some people commented that they're like, "Oh, the Switch is really cheap." I've not had any problems with the Switch. Just to clarify, a couple people commented that their Switch felt really cheap. This is the one I have not had any problems with it. They said theirs wants to go to the middle position. I've really really tried to see if I would have problems with it. I have not. They said the jack. They're like, oh, the jack is cheap. I'm like, yeah, mine's not really flush, and it will tug out a little. So I did buy an electro socket to replace this kind of half-assed electro socket. But like when you're buying a Squire, I think you can kind of expect that the hardware is not going to be like
You're
I
not
think you
buying
can
an
kind of expect.
American made guitar.
No, and I think that like the fact that the fretwork is so money on this is what's most impressive. And I think
Yep.
that kind of shielded me from like paying close attention to some of the hardware on it, and the fact that like there weren't really any finish problems with it. Like even around the neck heel, sometimes I'll see like just little like hairline mistakes in the finish. I didn't really have any of those with this one. Nothing major, at least. Nothing that really I would notice from a distance or anything like that. Like this, I just am very impressed with this one. And this is not one that they sent me, so it's not like they're like, oh, let's send the influencer something real nice. Like I just bought this from Sweetwater,
Right, because
and I don't.
you wanted
And I
to
don't
get
think.
in on that as quickly as possible.
And my Sweetwater guy is nice, but I don't think he particularly cares about this channel. So, so I don't think I impressed my Sweetwater person at all. So I don't think he's like let's send her something really nice. I think he's like, oh yeah, let's just treat this person like any other customer. So I'm not getting any
Sure.
special treatment there like at all. So that's pretty nice. So I'm just like, I'm generally impressed. I have it tuned B to B right now. I might change, the gauge if I ever start playing with Sue Quigley again, because when I play with Sue, she does a lot of songs in C sharp, and so if I could play like open stuff in C sharp, I would do that more, because she does capos a lot, so she can play, and that's just
Right.
there's nothing
Nothing
wrong
like a
with me.
baritone on Capo 5. Mwah.
Yeah, people always talk about like Phoebe Bridgers, like why buy a baritone and then play a capo. I'm like, so you can play open chords like G and stuff, and then like so you can play like a C without putting down that index finger, because that's a really nice chord. But if you want to play it up here, it's really fucking annoying, and then that reach gets really annoying. So when I was waiting for some of my COVID results to come back, I want to talk about songwriters really quickly. I was trying to distract myself from my COVID results coming back. So I was like, I'm just going to like try to learn a guitar song, because that's a great way to distract yourself. I've been listening to this record called Cool Dry Place by a woman named Katie Kirby, who went to Belmont a couple years after I graduated. And she has a song called Peppermint, and I was like, I really like the guitar lick on that, so I'm going to try to learn it. And it goes. And then I am like, it's definitely like this chord. But I'm like, what is she doing? And I was like, just kind of getting frustrated. I'm like, it's like she's going. And I was like, what the hell is she doing? And I pulled up her audio tree session. I'm like, she's using God, why didn't I just assume she was using a capo there to get that open sound? Like, I was so mad at myself. I'm like, oh, think smarter, not harder, Emily, you dum-dum. But she was very, like, I was like watching her play. I'm like, God, she's really good at guitar. Like, so it's like. Maybe it was more like that. But like, I was like, oh yeah. Gotta find the capo. See, I haven't learned it. But it's just like, that's nice working smarter, not harder, if you want to get that open sound.
Yep.
Because like, why would you bar there if you don't have to?
Right.
So whenever people are like, oh, capo, you're using a capo, it's so lazy. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's a tool. And so are they.
It's like, wait, is there drums? No, there's no drums.
There's no drums this week. There's no drums. No, it's absolutely a tool. Although I think it's funny.
So I should just start like, it'd be like if Andy from everyone's favorite demoer was like, oh, you're using a guitar pick. That's so lazy. Like, imagine if Andy just started giving everyone shit for using guitar picks.
Right.
Or if everyone just started getting shit for like someone just started giving everybody shit for like monitoring themselves while they were playing. Oh, you use monitors. You should just know. You should just know whether you're playing right or not. God, can you imagine?
No.
Use a tuner.
No.
You should just tune by ear always. That's cheating. Using a tuner is cheating. Go ahead.
When I used to play for churches quite a bit, if I was playing rhythm, the capo got brought out all of the time. Other way around. Capo almost never got brought out because at a certain point, I'm just playing chords. I can natural number system this out if we have because it's really normal. Like you show up to a Sunday morning, the singer's like, "Yeah, I've got a little bit of a cough, so we're gonna need to bring down the key like from like A to G because my voice is kind of like raspy." But I'll just go like, "All right, that's fine. I'll just hang on a second. All right, let's go." And I could like kind of roll with that if I was just playing rhythm, but on electric, I'm like, a lot of those parts will have open notes.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna drop it a step." I'm like, "But I've got open notes in standard E."
Tune down.
And then I just get buzz rattles, so I just forgo the open notes.
Tune down. Now, like, and in country music, you'll see lead players use capos a lot because they rely on open notes so much, and so they'll use capos.
Yeah, I capo.
Dave Rawlings,
my lead parts would absolutely.
Yeah. Dave Rawlings used capos all the time. I was like, there's so much gatekeeping in guitar that is just so laughable because then you'll see like the greatest guitarists in the world use these like crutches, and you're like, shut the fuck up. Or like things like when people complain about songwriters rhyming words with themselves, like, yeah, maybe you should you should probably just try to avoid doing that, but I think you can also know when it works. And I think it's also kind of a case sometimes like you should know the rules before you break them.
Sure.
But like obviously using a capo is not the same because it's not breaking a rule. It's just a tool.
Right. It's been around for a while and like, why not? It's pretty. I mean, it's just it's another analogous argument to the you use auto tune.
Well, it's like I forget who was it. Was it you or was it another friend who, when I was playing the Cloud Titty guitar, was like, "Oh, why is it going to drop D? Like, why does this like this B bender guitar go into drop D?" And I was like, "Oh, so you can play like." Is that your cat or mine?
That was mine.
Okay. How is Poppy?
Poppy's a good one.
Poppy said that Poppy's not in the room.
I'm going to crack the door real quick and see if she wants to come and say hi. Poppy.
I'm just chomping ice on Mike.
She vacated the premise. She like scratched at the door and then walked away.
Sounds like a cat.
It sounds like I'm about to be terrorized for the next hour. Scratch, run, scratch.
Even before the smoke came in, because the heat was coming, Carrie will just get really uncomfortable and not really know why she's uncomfortable, and then she gets just so needy. And just will yell at me for cuddles and then be like, "No, I guess I don't want these," and then get real mad at me for touching her. And I'll be like, I just don't know what you want. I'm so sorry that this is so uncomfortable for you.
Right.
So after this, like when it starts to get hot, like we have the AC unit in the bedroom, and that's definitely where we're keeping the doors closed. So I think I'm gonna take my computer up there. I have some freelance work to do. So I'm just gonna like bang out some work. Probably take a guitar up there and maybe learn some things. I learned the solo. I actually just learned all of Patti Smythe's Warrior. That's been on my workout playlist for like 3 years. And every time I hear it, I'm like, I need to learn this song. And then finally I learned it like this week. And I'm really proud of myself. It's fun. I just love learning those 80s guitars parts.
Yep.
Because like they sound so big and then they're just and then I can't really do it. I'm sure it's really fun for everybody. All right.
So this week's episode of the Get Offset podcast is brought to you by
Caroline Guitar Company. Do you want to talk about them? Talk about them.
Caroline Guitar Company. I recommend it. If you like Havoc, then boy, do they have products for you.
They have so many Havoc switches, and they're all so fun. The Meteore is a lo-fi reverb pedal with a Havoc switch that creates some really cool feedback, and I really like being able to have some controlled feedback. Just to be able to place it directly where you need it, be it at the end of a song or just someplace for some really cool emphasis. I really like that. The Meteore by Caroline Guitar Company. Andrew is sneezing. Andrew, get it out! Get out that smoke! Get that smoke out! Get it out! Thank you for muting.
Yep.
You feel better?
My sinuses are now like on fire. Good God. Bless America.
Yeah. Well, I do want to say before we get into talking about more guitar stuff, one of my favorite songwriters passed away this week. Nancy Griffith actually passed away the day before we recorded this. One of my favorite songs of hers is Across the Great Divide. I would implore everybody to listen to that song and just cry a little bit. One of my favorite memories of college is a dear friend of mine, Lindley, just singing that song. So I think it's got some of my favorite lyrics ever in a song. One of my favorite opening lyrics in a song. So, yeah. Let's.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. She was only 68. I just want to read some of the lyrics. I've been walking in my sleep, counting troubles instead of counting sheep. Where the years went, I can't say. I just turned around and they've gone away. I've been sifting through the layers, dusty books and faded papers. They tell a story I used to know, and it was one that happened so long ago. It's gone away in yesterday, and now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Now I heard the owl calling, softly as the night was falling, with a question, and I replied, but he's gone across the borderline. He's gone away in yesterday, and now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. The finest hour that I have seen is the one that comes between the edge of night and the break of day. It's when the darkness rolls away. And it's gone away in yesterday, and now I find myself on the mountainside, where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Nancy. Yeah. This one hits really hard. So, great week. Great end to a great week. Yeah, so that sucks.
Less than ideal, for sure.
Yeah, this one is, yeah. This one hits like when John Prine died. Yeah. I saw her at Arlington Vineyards, my friend Lindley's. I went there with my friend Lindley's family, so that was really a beautiful, beautiful show. Cool. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about today?
That's a great question. There's a couple things we could talk about. First of all, I'd like to just call out that I thought it was pretty cool that John Mayer sent Celise a Silver Sky.
A pink one.
A pink one.
Yeah. If you don't know who Celise is, you best get wise.
And if you don't know who John Mayer is, it's not that important.
Yeah. Celeste, you might have seen her perform on Saturday Night Live
Yep.
with Lizzo. She was
Anyways,
playing an SG. She's a
Gibson artist.
Gibson artist
Yep,
primarily.
she is. No, she's a wonderful human, and yeah, and it was really neat to see that act of kindness floating around the internet.
Totally. I think the smoke is getting to us.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like my head's in a cloud. My sinuses are puffed out to dear God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. You said that was on Instagram?
Yeah, I did see that on Instagram. On the Instagrams.
Instagram. Let's see. Let's see what the caption says. This type cannot be reached. Fantastic. Ooh. I love this guitar, she says. The middle pickup is particularly round, warm, yet punchy. I didn't know they were making more than one of these. Roxy pink finish matches my glasses. Okay, she is unfairly good. It's unfair.
It really isn't fair. But also, when I say it's not fair, what I'm really saying is I want to be that good, but without having put in the countless hours of practice that she has.
When I say unfair, I really actually mean unreal. It's unreal. It's unreal. Who else does she plays with everybody. Who'd she play with at Newport Folk? Shaka Khan and Brandy Carlisle shared the stage. Oh wow. Does she play with Brandy Carlisle all the time? Oh shit. Brandy's from Seattle. I love Brandy Carlisle. Have you watched This Is Pop on Netflix?
Nope.
You should watch the country music episode. It's actually really, really good.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the episodes are better than others. Also, did you watch the do you have HBO Max?
Nope.
Okay. Well, Rick and I watched the Woodstock 99 documentary last night, and there was some interesting stuff in there.
Like what?
It was just
Spoilers.
well,
Bring
one,
it. I'm not going to have time to watch it anyways.
the promoters were just real trashy people in the end. They were big rape apologists. They kind of blamed the women for all of the sexual assault and really downplayed the amount of sexual assault.
Oh.
They blamed the performers for the violence. They didn't take any kind of responsibility for the like listen, they picked all of these like really aggressive metal, new metal, hard rock bands, and then were kind of acted surprised that the audience that brought was a lot of kind of angry young white men, and then that act surprised that those angry young white men, when presented with like $4 bottles of water in 1999. Listen, that's expensive in today's prices for bottles of water.
Right.
Overflowing porta johns, bad like heat and infrastructure, then
Yep.
tear shit apart. Like, and then are surprised like that the culture of that is resulting in violence. Not taking any personal responsibility for that. Uh, Surprising, but it was one of the things that was interesting that they talked about. They did cover a lot of like the cultural impact of like what was happening at the time just outside of Woodstock, and they were talking a lot about how MTV and the shift that was happening at that time, and how it was kind of going from this was really the start of the shift from MTV being very Gen X to kind of going for older millennials at
Yep.
the like when older millennials were young. So it was moving from Gen X being for like these older teens to being for these younger teens. So it was kind of shifting from, rock acts to teeny boppers, and MTV seeming to have this misguided sort of perception that TRL was like the UN, and that people who were fans of like Limp Bizkit and Britney Spears could like coexist.
Right.
And that's just not really how it was. Like, honestly, Limp Bizkit fans and Korn fans want nothing to do with fans of the Backstreet Boys, or the Backstreet Boys for that matter. And that they did not really like, and that Woodstock was 99 was so focused on Limp Bizkit and Korn and Metallica and The Offspring and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and most of these hard acts, and literally one female act a day, as if to appeal to the girlfriends of these guys that they were really
Right.
trying to appeal to, as if to say like, look, babe, no, like, look, you got Cheryl on day 1, you got Alanis on day 2, and you got on day 2, and you got Jewel on day 3. Like, look, like, come on, babe, come with, you can come, yeah. It's like that's like you can tell that's what their mindset was. Like, they had a quota, and they filled it, and and then they had Moby for some reason, and yeah, it was just very interesting. But
Sounds like a poorly
MTV,
planned and executed type event.
well, it wasn't diverse. There was no diversity in there. And you look at today's festivals that are very successful, Bonnaroo, Coachella, most of them that aren't marketed as like genre specific festivals. You look at festivals like Stagecoach, which is marketed as a country music festival. You look at there are like, I forget what, I think Insane Clown Posse has their own festival that's marketed as like a new metal festival. Like, there are festivals that are marketed as genre specific, and they do well as being genre specific festivals.
Right.
Woodstock 99 wasn't really marketed as a genre specific festival, but it was.
Right.
And then they brought in MTV, and nobody there wanted MTV because they felt that MTV had turned on them, or had kind of given themselves over to like their little sisters. So they resented MTV, were throwing shit at MTV, and MTV had to get the hell out of there because Viacom at one point said, we can't guarantee your safety, you need to leave. So MTV left on day 2, and then on day 3, I've forgotten this, like, there were literally riots, and there were literally fires, and people tore that shit apart.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, but then you compare that to Woodstock 94, which did bring back a lot of the legacy bands, the Dead and Dylan, and some contemporary bands. So it was a much more balanced event than Woodstock 99. So I kind of wonder, like, why did you completely change the dynamics? Because you look at Bonnaroo and Coachella, and they have legacy bands, they have contemporary bands, they have indie bands, they have folk bands. Like, they are well-rounded festivals that have a little bit of thing for everybody. And they're not trying to just appeal to everything. Like, Limp Bizkit was at Lollapalooza this year and didn't incite riots.
Right.
Right, you know?
Well, at this point, Limp Bizkit has just turned into a nostalgia band. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly. But, like, I was looking at that, and I'm like, I don't, like... And, like, the promoters were like, Fred Durst was a moron and was, like, inciting violence. And I'm like, looking, I'm like, you guys, like, didn't have the infrastructure. You invited, like,
if you give a mouse a cookie,
angry... I'm like, but at that point...
But then charge
like,
them $80 for a glass of milk.
I'm like, I think you can't blame singularly Fred Durst. I think that it was just like this whole, like, you have to look at it holistically.
Right.
And it was a lot of factors. It was the heat. It was on a military base. You didn't have great security. You invite a lot of angry white people, white young men. You charge them a lot of money. You don't give them great infrastructure. They're like, the culture of the time was very different. They talked about how you went from these like very progressive acts like Nirvana and Michael Stipe being the rock stars who were like wearing makeup, performing in drag
Hashtag woke.
even. And
Yep.
then you go to like, I don't want to shit on Fred Durst, but like he's a great example of like frat bro kind of rock. And that's what you then go into, and that's what you're going into. A lot of like Girls Gone Wild culture and like
Right.
Girls Gone Wild was at Woodstock 99, like that kind of
You
thing.
mean to tell me that hot dog water and chocolate starfish isn't progressive?
Jesus Christ. So, but like you go from like that cultural shift, and that was like the
Right.
culture of the time. Like it was just like it was a lot. It was just like a really nasty soupy mixture of just like a lot of shit going wrong.
I'm imagining
once.
like fall of '98, and someone like the logistics or marketing department who's just underpaid and overworked is like the foundation for so much of the other work that needs to get done to prepare for Woodstock 99. They're like, screw it, I quit. See how far you get without me. And now I'm just imagining them like watching like the news, eating popcorn, going, yep, this is why they should have paid me more. But
yeah.
Like
I do think if the lineup was more diverse, they just hadn't invited like just those like angry bands. Maybe that wouldn't have
festivals
happened.
having like they're successful festivals with angry bands too. So I mean,
if it hadn't just been that demographic, maybe it would have been different. If it hadn't been as hot, maybe it would have been different. Like there's a lot of stuff you can't pinpoint one thing. I think it just was like, I don't want to say a comedy of errors because it was tragic. People died. There was a lot of sexual assault. There were at least 10 reported rapes. And you can just call that a drop in a bucket compared to what like I'm sure actually happened. There was a lot of unreported stuff. It was just a miserable experience. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people died. And, it was tragic.
It's the Beta for Fire Festival.
People didn't die at Fire Festival, dude.
Well, that's true.
So, but only because it didn't happen. I think that it's just like I actually feel glad that I remember being very young in that culture. I was 10 in 1999, and I remember seeing just kind of how women were treated at that time and really not liking it. And I think that just seeing that treatment of women when I was very young and seeing the Limp Bizkit, I gotta stop shitting on Limp Bizkit, but that was like, I hated like that. I hated their fan base. Like I really did not like the kids I went to school with who were big Limp Bizkit fans specifically. And I didn't like how they treated women. And it really shaped who I am today. And it really makes me glad to see that the culture now is a lot more progressive. And I'm really happy for kids who are growing up in this culture that seems a lot more progressive, especially the women who have, I think a lot better role models. I think for the most part, it seems a lot more fun to grow up right now. I think that you don't have to be nearly as like defensive as I felt like I had to be growing up in like middle school back then. So, it really was, it was kind of weird to watch that and just be like reminded of like, yeah, those were my bullies. They're the people who went to Woodstock 99, their little brothers were my bullies growing up, a lot of them. And, it's like, yeah, that time wasn't a lot of fun. There was a lot of good music. The Lilith Fair kind of stuff was interesting. I kind of like the idea of Lilith Fair, but I also don't really like the idea of completely separating women's music and men's music. I really just want the things to coexist a lot more. I think it's great, and I've said this before, to have like safe spaces for marginalized music to foster its own growth in a safe place that's maybe separate from something that could potentially be harsher or cruel or damaging. But ultimately I think those things need to coexist, and I think that it needs to exist together. And I think that, and I like how far we've come from like a Woodstock 99 where there were literally 3 women on the bill to we haven't actually come that far because we look at these lineups on festivals from a couple years ago, and the disparity is still there. It's not quite as bad, but you can still look at them, and there's still movements to try to get, less gender disparity. And it's still
Right.
there. It's still not 50-50 for most big festivals. So there's still a push to try to get that to be more equal. And it's not there. But hey, it's getting better, and people are aware of it and talking about it still. So, it's kind of interesting to see how far we've come in some places. Obviously, there's not that girls gone wild kind of vibe. I don't think music is nearly as popular music is not nearly as like angry and aggressive. I don't think that if you had a festival that was like just like the most popular rock bands, or like, because I like, I don't think it would be that kind of vibe.
Sure.
But I don't know. I think it would be different. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that thought. The smoke is getting to me.
Smoke is getting you.
Yeah.
I do disagree on the angry rock band part, because I mean, Not Fest is a great
what?
example. Like
What
the whole
fest?
not Fest. So for Slipknot, Not Fest is an annual fest of a lot of those type of bands contemporarily that's been going on for several years. And yeah, I mean that
Are they
goes,
breaking shit and starting fires?
No, that's my point.
That's what I'm saying. They're not breaking shit and starting fires.
Yeah.
So it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the smoke's getting in my head.
So you can have a festival that has those kinds of bands
Yes.
and not have them break shit
Yeah.
and start fires. Yeah. I think
Sorry.
because like, wasn't there a study that like everyone? I remember in the 80s they were like, all these kids who listen to metal, they're going to be degenerates as adults, and then it turns out those kids are actually like really turned out to be really happy functioning adults. They just needed an outlet, and they
Right.
had their outlet in heavy metal, and they had their community, and that community was heavy metal, and they're contributing happy members of society. Yeah. And just give people an outlet, and sometimes all they need to do is say, just give me something to break, and that's enough. Just like chant that and just like rage a little and jump up and down. Sometimes that's hopefully that's enough for like 99% of people, is to like feel that someone else gets that they have that feeling sometimes. Yeah. And then when they're treated badly and they have a lot of other angry people around them who are really stupid, maybe it's not great. Not great. I don't think it was fair that the promoters just like singularly blamed Limp Bizkit for that. They singularly blamed Limp Bizkit for all.
Oh,
of
I'm sure that's like the all right. Like walking to the boardroom. All right, gentlemen, this is going terribly. Who can we blame? I'm just going through the set list. These guys are the most likely to be the problem, so we'll just go with that.
Well, Limp Bizkit was the set where they started tearing the plywood down from one of the towers and crowd surfing on the plywood.
That's actually pretty cool, not gonna lie.
And then Fred Durst was like, I like that. What a fucking moron.
No, I like it too.
No, I like, because the thing is, like, I'd be like, this is like really bad and dangerous, but like, oh my god, like, I'm watching it like, what? This is so bad. Like, from a distance, like, this is so bad. He's just like, I like that. I'm like, oh my god.
No, that's more even weight distribution for crowd surfing. I mean, I see that as efficient.
Bad. It's bad.
And you're less likely to drop someone that way. And you're less likely to get accidentally groped that way.
Accidentally groped? Come on. Every single grope was purposeful. I like that Dexter Holland from The Offspring, when there's actually a clip of him in that documentary where he said, yeah, he actually just starts going off on the guys who are groping the women who are crowd surfing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like, I don't, basically he didn't like that. He's like, so
I agree.
next time you see a guy crowd surfing, grab his balls. Like, I don't. I was like,
There's an unspoken etiquette of like, unless the person's going to fall, like avoid all of that if possible. But and
just
even
don't
then,
hurt
you just try to
people.
help catch them if they're falling into the crowd. But anywho, I'm just saying, I see some positive benefits to plywood.
No, yeah, totally, but just don't rip it down from a tower that bad. Like,
Well, if we ignore
it's just
that
don't.
part,
Yeah, don't make the tower fall. Like that you could hurt somebody.
next metal show I go to, I'm just gonna show up at the door with like a 6x4 sheet of plywood. Like, sir, you can't bring that in. I'm like, oh, wait till you see what I'm gonna do with it.
What? Okay. Oh, like
Bring
if you
your
brought
own.
it in from the outside.
Brought it like my own. Made
They
sure
also
to like
tore
sand
down
the edges to keep it from scratching people.
in true Woodstock tradition. They also tore down the entire ass fencing around the peace wall. I like how they call the barrier around Woodstock the peace wall. And people were like, "That's pretty hilarious. Like that's pretty ironic to call it a that's not very conducive of peace. A wall." And then people tore it down. Every single Woodstock a wall has the wall preventing people from coming in has been torn down.
That just sounds like a tradition to me at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah. But
Well,
I recommend watching it. It was horrifying and educational, interesting. Moby uses quite some big words in it. Moby at some points seems like an absolute asshole, but also right. And you hate to see it. Oh God, yeah, Moby is one of those people who is just like, man, he's very smart and very insufferable and kind of pretty gross sometimes. He talks about like dating Natalie Portman when she was like 16 and she's like, we never dated. Like he talks about that somewhere else, like in a book or something. And she's like, ew, I was in high school and you were in your like late 20s. Yeah. Yeah. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough Moby for today.
well, I'm officially out of coffee.
Anything else you want to talk about?
After that Moby comment, I'm now just thinking about whether or not I could puke into this jar successfully, or if I should go find a trash can. It is like approximately a liter, so it'd probably fit.
There's one point in a documentary where it's like a video footage of Moby when he gets to the Woodstock and then he's bitching about his name not being on like some sort of welcome screen. And I'm like, Moby, I get it, but man, you seem like a real baby right now. I get it. I get it.
That's
I
giving
really,
babies a bad reputation. Jeez.
like, I relate because I got really mad in college when we had to do, like, as a class, like, as a whole class, like, this big video project. And I worked so hard and actually did, like, way more than my fair share. And my friends were responsible for doing, like, the credits. And
Yep.
they left my name out.
Mm.
I cried. So I relate. I was also like 20 when I cried about this, and not like a wealthy like EDM star headlining Woodstock 99. Upset that my name wasn't on a welcome banner that no one else was going to see.
Yeah, people in their 20s, am I right?
I'd said 20, not in my 20s.
I know, I'm just intentionally twisting what you said.
Man, did you see the performance on that video I did about why my guitars fell off the wall?
I haven't yet, no.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I'll check it out.
1100-ish views.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah. 55 comments, including someone who doesn't know the definition of the word comment.
No, I did see that someone was commenting. I saw the screenshot of the comment that 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 I'm not even sure how to classify it. It's that dumb joke about my deepest fear in life is that my wife is going to sell my guitars for what I told her that I paid for them, and
Yeah.
or like my worst dream or something like that. And
Yeah. My
back of it,
nightmare.
I was in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, and I'm sure her best dream is that you die before she does. So you've got something in common.
We've got something in common. Yeah.
Yep.
My nightmare is my wife sells my guitars for what I told her I paid them for.
Yep.
Or my nightmare is I go out of town and my wife sells my guitars for what I told her I paid for them. I'm like, why would your wife sell your guitars when you go out of town?
Yeah, that's a different problem.
Why don't you just? But like the thing about
There's
that joke is
clearly
like
a
even
disconnect.
why don't? But every time I see that joke, I'm like, why don't you just tell her like what they're actually worth, and then say like, don't lie to your spouse about what you spend for things, but like
Right.
even so, like why don't you just tell her you got like for a good deal? Like why don't you say, oh man, yeah, this guitar is worth $1,100 and I got it for like $6. Why? Because like women appreciate sales. Just tell her you got, and like we are very familiar like with sales and getting things for sale. Like we go to Kohl's a lot. We are familiar with sales and we appreciate them. Like I think I've never like if you compliment a woman's shirt, oh man, I really like that shirt. 9 times out of 10, she's gonna be like, thanks. I got it on sale. just play the game, dude. Jesus.
Or
just be honest.
Level without the game and be honest.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's preferable. Yeah. Like, but if you're gonna tell the joke at least, because I know this guy's just obviously telling a shitty joke.
Right.
So
dude's probably not even married. That's what I'm just telling myself now.
I hope he's not. I hope he's not married. But people are still impressed with that catch, though, of the guitar.
Well, it was a lightning fast catch.
Boxing.
All right. My sinuses are continuing to get worse. I need to go like take something for them.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, to everyone out there, thanks for watching.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for understanding. Please like, comment, subscribe below. Support us on Patreon at patreon.com/getoffset. Bye.
Bye.